Hey guys, it's Sean Klinger with VolumX. We got Ping here and we got a Beta 300 RX behind us. And so this is kind of a wrap up of a project that we've been working on this bike for a while. We did a first ride about a month ago, and there were some things that we wanted to address. And since it does come with a KYB fork, we reached out to KYB USA. They got their guy Kaipo out there. It does great work with the race teams, professional race teams, with the OEMs like Kawasaki and everybody that uses KYB. You know, they kind of lean on these KYB experts to dial in their bikes and to get everything working. So that's what we did with the Beta. It comes with a Sachs shock, and what we notice is, you know, nothing wrong with Beta. It's an off-road brand, and this is their first motocross bike, so it's kind of their first stab at it. The Sachs shock was very off-road oriented, very soft, and so just out of curiosity, because they had this prototype shock, KYB did throw on a shock that they have. It's not something you can buy. It's not like a kit or works or anything like that. It's more like something that was off an older Yamaha. They had it around, that we threw it on there, and we wanted to see, just kind of out of curiosity, what we can do to get it working and get it going. So all the other stuff on here is a lot like how KTM has their hard parts. Beta does a very similar program that you buy through either the brick and mortar stores or go on beta.com, and you can get all the little bits and bobs, all the bling stuff. So there's, you know, the reservoir caps, the red arc levers, there's some protection on there. We got a whole Polysport black plastics kit for this. SK Designs did the graphics and threw some Dunlops on there to freshen up the tires. FMF pipe and silencer. Nothing to the engine. We kind of left that alone. Kind of the focus of this was to see what we could do with the suspension. So that's what we did. We rode it today. What did you think?
Yeah, so we rode it kind of in its mostly stock trim, and it was a bit of a handful. Had some handling issues. We said, man, we get a hold of Kaipo Chung. I've known him forever. He was my suspension technician at Factory KTM when I raced there. So he's been in the industry for a minute. And like, as you said, now working for KYB, doing all their stuff. So he knows what he's talking about. And we just started with some different, you know, the valving, the way they had it set up. He was scratching his head, a ton of oil, kind of just not a super efficient way to set it up. So he put in what he thought would work, and it was better to start today. Still, we had some issues. We actually slid the fork up a bit in the clamp as far as we could go until it started hitting the pipe, the front tire did. We were at 107 mil of sag. We kind of kept softening it up, getting the back end to squat. It has a very tall feel. The seat's flat. The fork is actually longer than kind of most traditional standard forks. So it just sits really high. So we tried to combat that by sliding the forks up in the clamp, adding a little more sag, adding more high-speed compression or opening it up. And we definitely made improvements. And by the end of the day, I had it to where I was pretty happy with the way the suspension worked. Early on, it was just very skatey, very deflecty. Then it got a little, you know, we went through a range of different issues, but we got it at the end of the day to where it's working well. The motor on this thing is very off-roady feeling, just very linear, very electric, doesn't really ever have a hit. We did use the power valve adjuster and open that up all the way, which does make it a little more exciting. It'll kind of hit a little harder, and I preferred that for sure. It just makes it more fun to ride. The issue that we were still having at the end of the day, two things for me that I just could not get past was the rake. It's got a really slack front end, and so when I would go to turn this thing, I would start to lean in, and then as soon as you got to that point where you wanted to start accelerating, it just wanted to stand up and climb and go straight. And I fought it all day long. Really struggled to get it to turn. And like I said, I think we brought the forks up as much as we could. I think you need different triple clamps or maybe some offset races to kick this thing in and affect the trail and some of those things, get those numbers changed to make it really work for motocross. The other thing is the seat. It's like it's made of concrete. It is so hard. It's the firmest seat I've ever ridden with. And so even when that shock, we got it working well at the end of the day, if you're seated coming out of a turn and there's chatter, I mean, it's a beating. I wouldn't say we're ready to go racing on this thing. We made huge gains, and I think it helped Kaipo and the KYB guys with just having a sort of a direction to go with these bikes and this suspension, but not ready for Paula here yet.
No, and I think the whole point of this is a couple things that it shows and that we can take away from this. One, even really good suspension isn't the only factor in how a bike handles and how it feels. The other thing that I want to point out too is that, you know, Beta, this is their first stab at like motocross, and they have the MXGP team this year that Van Horbeek and another guy, they're going to be racing in MXGP. So it's kind of like, it's cool to see where this is going, where the starting point is. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea where Beta is headed, but it is kind of like cool to see another brand stepping into motocross and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, this would be like going back to 2000 and riding a KTM. You know, those bikes felt like they were built on another planet. So this thing is sort of that's its time frame where it is right now. And I wouldn't say it's, I think you could get there. If we had a full another day of testing and the right equipment to test with, I bet we could get it good. It's just going to take some work to work out some of those bugs.
Yeah. So if you are on YouTube, click like, click subscribe. If you're on vitalmx.com, please go to our YouTube channel, check out more videos. Thanks for watching.